Well, this is a pleasant surprise. Hello, everyone, just joining. To everyone watching back the stream on the VOD, whether you're watching it here on Twitch or on YouTube, depending on when you're watching it. Welcome to another stream, and surprise, surprise, welcome to another game development stream. I know that previously, when I attempted this the last time, which was last week, things weren't the smoothest due to either things taking a while to properly set up, or because of the usual internet problem, or any other factors that may have affected my last attempt at doing this. But, and, and quite honestly, it almost made me not want to try this again. However, I looked at things and thought, if I just simply gave up on trying to stream what is basically my passion because of some mishaps that happened on just one stream, then that wouldn't be really good, would it? So I'm back doing this again. I'm happy to be streaming game development again. In terms of what I may or may not have done since the previous stream, I've done a little bit. I've not done an excessive amount, but I have done a little bit of like tweaking and adjusting since the last time. Not in terms of like how things load or anything, but in terms of functions for the player and stuff. But literally not too much, but just like a little bit. So I'm gonna quickly go into the code window. Gonna go through some bits that I've done. I sorted out stuff with the player movement and so on. I have like a little toggle here that if the player is currently air dashing, then they won't be able to just give normal move input. And the reason for that is because I have an air dash for the player now. So when the player presses jump, if they haven't air dashed while they're in the air, and they're currently in the air, so is falling just basically says, are they just in the air right now? If like both of these are met, then it will prompt for the air dash, and first it will just set gravity to 0. And some people say like another way you do air dashing is set their like current movement state to flying, which I guess you could do, but at the same time I feel like it would be a bit too sort of meandering if you're just setting something to flying and then just kind of doing things that way. So instead I just ignore setting it to flying and then just set gravity scale to 0. I set the movement velocity to like whatever distance I want the player to travel, which I can set in like the Unreal editor. And then after like a few seconds, it will reset the gravity scale back to what it's supposed to be when falling, which you see this and you think this may be a bit extreme, but I will explain that a little bit. And then it will just say that the player's not air dashing anymore so they can properly move again. And then where is on landed? Because on landed I remember putting in the last time. Nope, no, I haven't done that. Right, that's oh well. I could probably tweak some bits as we go forward. Right, and I was just making sure that everything was working in terms of audio because can never be too sure that I've done something incorrectly with setting up OBS and audio and so on. But to show off what that looks like in the editor, I mean, I haven't done anything with the mannequin, like replaced it with anything or any assets or any kind, because what I'm focusing on at the moment, while this is taking its time to actually click play, because it always does on the first time you click play on play mode, when you load up the editor, there we go. So I haven't done anything with the mannequin because I'm focusing on like the function first, and then once I do that, if I learn how to make stuff in Blender or I find some royalty-free or open source like 3D assets that I can use to play a character, then I will probably do that. But as for the air dash, wait, it looks like this at the moment, which it kind of looks a bit odd there. Oh, there we go. I was double checking just to make sure things were okay, because for some reason Twitch is being a bit funny on mobile. It stopped on my phone because, but yeah, at the moment air dash looks kind of goofy, but as long as it works, and I'm very happy about that. So I'm not sure if I basically detailed my plans for this project during previous stream, because, or I say during previous stream, I mean during the last game development stream, because if I was saying previous stream, then previous stream would be my Kingdom Hearts Final Mix Level 1 playthrough from the stream from the other day, which, if you haven't joined for any of those, you should definitely tune in at some point. But aside from that, I definitely have stated that I want to make it a platformer, but I want to try making a platformer that has emphasis on kind of movement style mechanics, rather than like anything that's so convoluted or just in depth or thorough, just as a way of not putting too much pressure on myself, but at the same time having a decent sort of foundation for something that I can build from, if that makes sense. So that's my aims with this project. That's what I'm hoping to do. So yeah, I think for the background music for stream, I was enjoying the vibe with like some of the calming Xenoblade music. So I think I found a different like 3-hour video, which is just a compilation of different tracks from Xenoblades 1, 2, 3, and X, which there is a lot of this here. So I'm going to have this play through this, and while that plays through, we're going to get on with things and just try and talk about things in general, because in terms of these streams, I'll just start the music now, but in terms of these streams, I'm just going to make sure things are coming through first. Yep, there we go. Alright, perfect. Sorry about the quick little silence, because mobile stream is currently on a bit of a slight delay, so I may as well reset the stream on my phone and get that sorted. But in terms of like the atmosphere, the whole vibe of these particular streams, I don't want it to be some sort of insane rush to be like, we're getting all of this done, we're getting these features in, we're doing so much of this and so much of that, and it's amazing, and it's going to make me feel miserable if I do it that way. So I'm not going to push myself too much on that front, because otherwise I'll just burn myself out completely. But what I am going to do is just take this slow, do things in a chill way, and if there's like any kind of conversation topic at all, which either I come up with or chat comes up with, either one works, because both sides will have something to talk about, either about games or about things in general, because there is so much to talk about, then we just kind of distract ourselves with that. Not like distract ourselves as in we don't get anything done ever, but you know what I mean. We just kind of take a little bit of a detour to sort of hash things over, and then once we sort of get through that, we just keep going. And that seems like a nice way to do things. So I should probably also move my microphone over towards me, because I've had it to the side for like the past few hours because I was doing stuff on Destiny 2 earlier with my clan, and I mostly don't have it too close to my face when I'm doing that, because normally when it's too close to my face it would just be super loud, and you know, that's just fun. No one wants to have their eardrums absolutely obliterated by someone going, "Hey, so what's going on?" So I mean, that kind of happens sometimes during like the KH1 level 1 streams, where because I'm getting so rowdy and loud because of something that's happening either in a fight or something that just happened like a few minutes before or something in chat, then it just kind of I can tell sometimes when I'm adjusting the death count for those streams that the mic track peaks, and that's funny, but at the same time it's kind of so yeah, we're just going to get things done at a nice little pace, a pace that honestly works a whole lot better for me now than it has ever done before, because if you want me to get into that, then I'll get into that, but at the moment we'll just do things slowly. We'll try and see if there's anything we can implement that is simple for now, and then if there's anything that requires like a huge like sort of bit of planning, then we'll do that. So let me think. So of course, with a platformer, you want, and especially a movement-based platformer, you want something that feels like fluid and good. You want to be able to have the player not just go like a walking pace, because at the moment, I've opened the player's blueprint, and that's, oh yeah, now I remember. So if you see this here, before I wrote it in the code, I was testing things out in the player's blueprint, because Unreal is pretty good in that you have, hold on, whoops, I just closed Unreal. That might have removed it from the stream window briefly. Yeah, it did. It did, looking back. But if we go into Rider right here, like, you can have like things be controlled and dictated by, you know, pure code, like you would see someone write, either for software development's sake or just game development's sake, just in the code editor. But Unreal, which has this nice little thing where in blueprints you can code visually, and visually is very good for sort of more technical artists and so on, because it lets them try and code things and get things set up in a way that feels a bit better than like, oh, they're just learning so much about this language just for the sake of being able to set up a shader or set up lighting or post-processing effects and so on. And I like that it gives them the option to do that. For the longest time, this is kind of a personal sort of thing for me when I was learning Unreal initially. I looked at blueprints and I thought, wait, but why would you have this when the code exists? And the reason why I preferred Unity for so long, not just because of how, like, more comfortable I was learning C# compared to C++, but there was also the fact that, well, I wasn't using visual scripting, I was learning how to code normally, and while it was like, oh, this is getting me used to the language perfectly, I now look back in hindsight and I think, wow, having a visual scripting thing would have been useful for testing out gameplay features, and that's a good thing that Unreal kind of does. It's that it lets you basically, if you want to prototype like just a quick little gameplay thing before you write it in code, then you can do that. You can do it as like the base, like as a foundation to get things set up, so you have like something to work from, and then you can sort of slowly move things over to code where you'll have a lot more control over things, and that's something that I like a lot. So I'm gonna make I think we'll go over to Rider for this part, because I'm gonna need to make it a thing that could be called from the character. Void blueprint implementable. So check temp dash, that was the event that I had before, and that was the thing that I tested in the blueprints before I actually wrote all the air dash stuff here. But I'm going to rename it, because it's not implemented in the CPP class. So if we look here, like, air dash is here, but if I say check temp, yeah, check temp dash doesn't exist. It's just, like, what it is defined here. Like, this is what I was saying when I was talking about all of the whole rigmarole behind, like, header files and the CPP files, where, like, header files basically define what things are, say with methods and so on. Like, it would define what a method is, and then normally in the CPP file, you would basically say what that thing does. It's kind of similar with this. You would define what it is, or what it is here, but instead of defining what it does in C++ or in the C++ file, you define that in what it does in blueprints. So we're gonna change this to check temp sprint button, and I'm going to do the whole, because it's commonplace in platformers where you just have a sprint button. So I'm going to quickly implement a... Oh, I accidentally copied a blank space. Whoops! But I'm gonna do input action, sprint action, and... Oh, whoa! Hello, Heater! Hello, welcome to the stream! I am going on my whole spiel about programming stuff again, but this will be a fun to digest, hopefully. But I am going to try implementing the sprint, but I'm hopefully not going to let it take so long to set other things up as I was the last time. The gamer. And also, I hope like the Xenoblade Chronicles music is coming through okay, because I made sure things were set up properly this time, because I noticed during previous stream, and this was in the process of everything, that because I forgot to set like my browser source for playing music up in both scenes, whenever I'd switch from like one to the other for like the editor and the code editor, it would just cut off the music, and I didn't realize until partway through, so that was an error on my part. But we're doing better this time. Yeah, no, that was what happened, and it was kind of embarrassing, really. But I realized eventually, and we got that sorted. But yeah, but we're gonna test out. I mean, to be fair, I don't really need to. I don't really need to test out the functionality of that in Blueprints, because I could very easily just say, right, void, so toggle sprint. No, wait, no, I'll make two methods. I'll make two methods just to split it up and make it easier. So, void, activate, sprint. So this will be the thing that's called when the player presses the sprint button. This will just basically set their sprint speed. And then void... No, not act... Because then I'd have to write deactivate sprint. And initially in my head I was going to be like, oh, stop sprint. But then I realized, oh wait, I wrote activate sprint. So that would look odd. So we're going to say start sprint instead. And then we're going to say stop sprint, just so it fits right in my mind. It's just my little things when I'm trying to write code that, like, if things don't match a certain, like, naming convention or pattern for things, it doesn't feel right. So that's why in this case, instead of going activate and stop, I'm just going to say start sprint, stop sprint. So... And I don't want this to be just flat values, because, like, yeah, flat values are good for testing, but I want to be able to, what is it called? It's... Oh yeah, no, now I remember. I was trying to figure out... Yeah, there we go. So, something I want to be configurable is... I want the sprint max speed to be configurable, but I also, for the sake of if I ever want to sort of change how the player, like how quickly the player moves when they're just walking, then I want to be able to sort of configure that as well. So we're going to put in the category movement. And to be fair, because it's one word, I could just skip the speech bubble or speech marks and just leave it as that, because it's not two words. When it's two words, that's when it requires, like, a little bit more, but it's just little things, you know? Anyway, how's your day been? I know you've been talking about trying to get, like, PayPal stuff sorted and everything, but how has things been aside from that? And then I may as well copy this U property, because it's the same category, just for a different variable. Float sprint speed. As for my day, I've been doing good today. I've been doing things around the house. I had a thing with employment support, and that wasn't too long, which was good. I started being a lot more open, like, with other people, like, outside of you and my course mates, about my mental health. I just felt the sort of urge to say, you know what? I'm actually going to talk about this mental health stuff, because otherwise, if I don't, then I'm going to be bottling it up again, and if people know, then it's a lot easier to just say, yeah, this is how I felt, and I'm trying to do my best, my darn hardest to try and sort myself out with that. And I am. I'm doing what I can. I'm not doing like I used to, where it was just do absolutely everything. And now the attitude is, if I can do it, then I'll try my best. And even if I don't get so much done, it should be okay. Hence the same kind of vibe with stream, because I don't want it to be a case of I'm burning myself out doing so much. I'm just doing this in a pace that feels very good for me, myself, my mental health. And like, tell the truth, I although I like went into this project a little bit before like a few days after the last time I streamed developing this project and everything, I haven't done too much of it. I've been trying to do some other things on the side. I mean, editing included, which honestly is going pretty well. I haven't finished editing that second clip, which is sad, but that's fine. I've done quite a bit of it. I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty happy with some of the edits that I've done so far with it, and I can't wait to show you guys again like what I do with this one, because I think I'm pretty happy with it. Although now I'm talking about it, I have another idea that I could do for it now. So I think I'm going to write that down. Sticky notes, clip ideas, current. There we go, I've written that down. Honestly, I'd say past 24 hours or so, I've been very sort of a little bit on the ball with, like, thinking a bit more creatively. And that's very good! Like, because I know I explained it to you and the group chat yesterday, Heater, but I'll just explain it for stream in general, because I feel like it's just very fun to talk about this kind of stuff. So yesterday, like, normally it would have been, like, just a regular old D&D session, but instead, our DM said, hey, Critical Role is beta testing a new tabletop RPG called Daggerheart. Let's look at the character creation stuff and, you know, see what we can make. Of course, Sydney was there as well, and we told them, try breaking this system as much as you can, because that's what they're encouraging. They're saying, see what you can make, but try and break it as much as humanly possible, just so they know what to fix. So, sorry about that. But in terms of like the character creation, like initially my whole little thing, the first character I made with their character creation system, I made a funny little frog guy who is a seraph, which is basically like an angel sort of fighter thing. He's a frog seraph. Well, the race is called a ribbit, but he's called Reginald, like how you would say ribbit, but you'd say Reginald. I started like that train of thought of like trying to think of funny ideas and sort of creative stuff came from when I was trying to think of his name. It's like, what do I name him? And then I thought, well, Reginald sounds like air, but if I name him Reginald, then that makes it a little bit funnier. So, like, it started there. And then it moved on to the second character I made, who, initially, my funny idea for them was, I'm just going to make what is basically a robot, but they're a wizard. But the way they fire spells is that they shoot it from a cannon which has their wand, like, fitted into it. Which is pretty cool. I should probably get on with this while I'm talking as well. Get character movement. Max. Max. What is this? The maximum speed when used. That's custom movement mode. Oh, max walk speed, that's the one. But anyway, like that initial idea eventually kind of sparked me into writing a whole backstory for this character, which is very deep. And, like, I'm proud of what I did, because I went through this whole spiel, like, because one of the questions that was asked of me was like, what did your community rely on you for, and how did you let them down, I mean, in character? And so, I'm going to see if I can... So, okay, library, engineered for compiler. Yeah, right. So, I named my... So, what I decided to do, because, like, you know, robot character, I decided to give him, like, one of those long sort of names where, like, each letter of their name is basically a word, and their short name is just an anagram. And what I did, I named him the Arcane Library Engineered for Compiling Knowledge, or Alec with a K. And like, that was the start of it. Then I made like a whole backstory of like they were constructed by a professor for the sole purpose of compiling knowledge of magic from different civilizations and cultures over the span of many different years, taking different shapes and forms. And then one day they suffered a mishap while they were compiling like a newly collected set of knowledge, and that the entire collection was destroyed in an instant. And they were cast out of the community that they were in by the professor and by everyone around them, because they had caused such a catastrophic loss of countless civilizations' knowledge of magic. And one of the other ones was, like, is there a powerful rival? Why do you want them out of your way? I essentially went for a whole, like, well, if the professor needed a new assistant, why would they not just make a new one? So if I can find, because I have like this tab open on Opera GX on mobile, though it probably has signed me out of like the digital character sheet maker, because, oh wait, no, it hasn't signed me out. That's good. So if I go into characters, go into Alec, I'm not doing it like on stream, I'm just doing it on my phone so I can read from it and keep this on here. It'll take a moment to load. What I decided to do is like, oh, if there's Alec, surely the professor makes another construct before they pass away, which they do. So, details. Their rival is called the Receptacle of Arcane Collections Hatched in an Emergency Location, or Rachel for sure. And here's the thing, like, I could have just been one and done with this character sheet, with this backstory, but I put so much effort into trying to think of a long name to be shortened into an anagram for their rival. I put effort into this. I put so much effort into this, and I'm super proud of that. And then for my third character, I made another goofy one. They're basically like basically a fungus warrior living, like a feral fungus warrior living in a tribe where their biggest commodity is grass, and they're sent away on an adventure by their chief because they're like, oh, go find more grass. You're not paying off debt, you're finding more grass. And I think my favorite part about that character is that I decided to write their whole backstory details in character. Whereas with the second and first, I was like, oh, this person is yada yada yada. I wrote this character's backstory in character, and it was the funniest thing ever. So yeah, that's basically what happened. Yeah, more grass, yeah. Tom! But yeah, no, I've been in a whole spiel of trying to do things a bit more creatively. Like, I just came up with an idea. You have fortune cookies? Ooh! Did you get takeaway tonight, or...? Oh wait, no, that's wrong way. That should be sprint speed, not walk speed. Okay, so this basically just says, oh, I need to bind it first. Yo, I haven't had Chinese takeaway in so long. Like, it's been I think the last time I had Chinese takeaway properly was roughly my brother's birthday. That was the last time we had Chinese takeaway, and I need to have it again at some point. It's been ages. I need to find somewhere locally that's pretty good. But I don't know. I mean, maybe my sister knows. Maybe she knows of something that's, like, very good in the area. E-trigger event triggered. This. A key character start sprint. But I need to find something. Like, there's quite a few bits I need to find. Like, for takeaway, I can't always just have either McDonald's or pizza. My fortune says good news of a long-awaited event will arrive soon. Ooh. Who knows? Who knows? Because it's like, I know it's just like little things written on the little papers inside the fortune cookies, but it's still nice to see what you get, because it's like, ooh, did I get something very good, or did I get something that's just going to spell absolute doom and gloom? Let's go! Which means Sukuna in Fortnite, let's go! I mean, fuck, if that actually turns out to be the case, we'll see what happens. I mean, if it does happen, then that's actually hilarious. I'll keep a mental note of, oh wait, Heater, the fortune cookie, it actually came true. That's the note I'll make. I'll make a mental note of that, just in case that actually does happen. I'll say, wait. Oh yeah, no, now I remember. Right. Another... Yeah, could you imagine? Yeah, I could imagine. That would be hilarious. That would be honestly hilarious. But another thing that I need to run through. So by default, like a character just has like a standard character movement component. And that basically essentially drives gravity, their movement, and all that jazz. And you see me getting it in the player character script right here, where it's like get character movement and you're setting the max walk speed. However, you can also make a custom one, like as a child of just a standard character movement component class. And then what I'm doing here is basically like, if you remember where I said here, like, oh, when the air dash ends, then it sets the gravity scale to 3. The reason why is because with what I'm doing here, with the character's gravity, I can make jumps a little bit more exaggerated. So if I wanted to, I could reduce the player's regular jumping gravity. So if I go... I'm pretty sure it's a thing for the character movement. Yeah, jumping gravity scale. So I'm just going to do this temporarily. So if I set their jumping gravity scale to 0.75 instead of 1.7, because that's why I have it at the moment, I should probably switch Twitch back, OBS back over to the editor. So if I set jumping gravity scale to 0.75 instead of like 1.7, which is what I had it at before. So before, like, the player's jump was kind of heavy-ish. If I jump now, like, it's a bit lighter. But then, of course, when the players jump sort of... like, let's change it to something a bit, like, less, like 0.25. Sure, I could go for 0 gravity. Oh, the bloobs. Right, let's go with 0 gravity. Though it should be setting the gravity scale. Metal Man. Metal Man or Metal Woman. Character movement, gravity. I should... yeah. Should check if that's actually being set. Because if it's not being set, then there's something that I've forgotten to do, which is not... It should be set, because the gravity's heavy. Unless it's not. That's always possible. Right, let's check character movement component. Yeah, no, it's working. Yeah, gravity scale is being set, so that's just the thing I was checking. But yeah, I can just have the jumps be a bit exaggerated and either have gravity be normal when they're falling, or I could just have it just pull them right back to the ground, so it's like a little bit more sort of snappy instead of just being floaty. There we go. Sorry, I was finishing my tea. I learned that trick back when I was developing in Unity, about having the gravity be sort of exaggerated like that, because it lets you create, like, if you wanted to have, like, cartoony style, like, jumping physics, then you can do that, and that's cool. So, like, by all means, if you're able to do that, then try and sort of do it a bit more. But I digress, we need to go back to, like, the code, because, like, I was explaining things and then going back in to sort of talk about it. But start sprint, stop sprint. Simple as fair dues. It basically just... This just sets the sprint speed to... Like, the walk speed to the sprint speed, and then this sets the walk speed back to the walk speed. That is basically what it does, and that's just very simple. If I go... if I look at what the... Oh, I closed the code. Whoops. If I look at what the player's current max walk speed is... So max walk speed is currently 600 centimeters per second. So I'll still have that as like a default in the constructor here. So if I do this, walk speed, and then here, sprint speed, I can have that be 900, for example. And that will be whatever it's set to as the default when it's created, or these variables are created when I compile everything again. But, so now I'm going to go into the editor, I'm going to close the editor, but I'm going to keep the code editor open, because I'm going to see if this actually does things a bit better this time in terms of actually running the compiler and getting the thing built. Whoops. I don't know if that's not being dogged. It's just building the project at the moment. But while we wait for that to build, I think, like, I mean, I'm not gonna say this is a whole, oh, if this doesn't go too well today, then but I do want to say that, like, depending on how I feel, I do want to make the game dev stuff a little bit more of a regular sort of rotation on the break streams, because, like, sure, I can get on with things little by little, like, in my own spare time with this project, but at the same time, it's also nice to just sort of go through things slowly, show people, like, what's going on with this project, how I'm developing some things, and also just talk about things. It's a good little space for me to sort of practice this thing. And that's odd, but it is building 7 actions. I think I will play GTA and put stream. You're going back to the old man Yowie, are you? When he feels the calls. He feels the call. He will answer when he feels it. When he really feels it. But yeah, as I was saying, it's a nice space to try and get this little bit of practice in terms of going through things and explaining how things work. Because I know, like, hearing all the sort of long technical details is not necessarily, like, the biggest thing people want to hear or see, but for those who really want to sort of learn, like, oh, so that's how that works, or, oh, you've made this is how you've done this, oh, is like, and I could possibly say, you know, this could be like a different approach or something entirely different, but it's a nice way for me to go through it, especially for, say, in the future when I have to have interviews. Oh, say hi to Shinny. Hi Shinny. Oh, hi Isaac as well. I'm guessing you found out the reason why I had to leave Crow's End early. But yeah, no, giving like a small little behind the scenes thing is very nice in terms of like how things work, and especially when eventually if and when I have an industry job interview that I have to try and properly explain things and show things off, which for the one interview that I had back in September, October time, that I did a little bit of, but I wasn't too thorough with explaining how things worked. This is good practice for everything. It's good practice to make sure that, you know, I can do this properly rather than just... But also, it's just nice to do. Like, if I just start labeling it as, oh, it's a good practice to do this properly, I'm just gonna start saying that this is an obligation to practice for this, which is not good, because that's, like, falling into my old habits of saying that everything needs to be done. But, like, it can be seen as that, but it's also just a nice little way to sort of spend time and just sort of do things idly, like, for like a few hours and just talk and do things, which is pretty cool. It's taking its time. I think it's always, whenever I do, like, the first compile of the day with a project, when I compile the code for, like, the first time in the day, it always takes the longest, and because of that, it's always the slowest when I do that. So, hence why it's taking its time. So I guess while we're waiting, there's, like, a handful of things to talk about. There's, like, probably what I've been doing in terms of what I've been playing recently, or what I'm looking forward to, or the Steam Spring Sale, or just trying to do other things in general. I think maybe the Spring Sale might be a good point to talk about, because I finally managed to get Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, thanks to the fact that I've had like £40 worth of Steam vouchers for a while. And yes, I know, like, to people I know in my clan, like, if I ever mentioned this, they could have said, hey Tails, get Helldivers, and I could have done it, but I was specifically saving those vouchers for if and when I got enough money to pay for Infinite Wealth, or that it went on sale. Infinite Wealth went on, like, a slight discount for the Steam Spring Sale, and I'm super happy about that, because that means I actually, you know, managed to, like, get it, like, say, but here's the thing, if I got, like, the standard edition, it would have been £7 because I had the, you know, 40 quid's worth of vouchers. However, the deluxe edition would have been, like, 16 quid. So I got the deluxe edition, so it was 16 quid because of the, or I spent 16 quids properly because of the 40 quids of vouchers that I used. And that wait was well worth it. So when I'm finally able to get around to playing Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and that's almost been out for 2 months, and somehow I've managed to avoid spoilers entirely, which is incredible, because normally Twitter would have spoiled the absolute living hell out of that game. But I guess in a way, because of, like, other things in life keeping me busy and distracted, and because I'm not too sort of mixed into, like, some of the people posting about Yakuza and Like a Dragon. Like, sometimes I get their posts. Sometimes I get the posts and it's good. But other times I don't get too many of their posts. So, because of that, I don't get exposed to it so much. So I haven't seen, like, spoilers or anything. I've only seen, like, slight tidbits, and that's about it. So I'm very happy about that. As well as that, if you can remember, so Dragon was playing the Fancy Pants game that you got me for Christmas on her stream yesterday. Oh, and it's finally compiling a little bit. All I needed to do was talk away and then it would eventually get to it. But anyway, so she was playing the Fancy Pants game that you got me for Christmas back in 2022. Recently, I think it was like last month or so, or during last year, I don't know when it was. The guy who made the Fancy Pants games remastered I think the original 3 Fancy Pants games, and, like, paying for it on its own would have been £7 normally, but for some reason, and I don't know why this is, but if you buy the bundle, like, of both the Classic Collection and the game that you got me, and you already own one of those titles, you're still able to get it for yourself, but you only get, like, the other game that you're missing, and it's £2 cheaper for some reason. So, that's funny. That doesn't... Total execution time. Error, the command... Build... Yeah, no, but that happened. But why is that? What happened? What's... That doesn't seem good. It should have compiled. It doesn't... It's not giving me an actual... Creating a library, write metadata. Okay, that's not good. You caved and spent it on the Steam sale? What did you get? Just kind of curious. Also, that's weird. That shouldn't have happened. It should have been able to compile without any issues. So, I'm going to try running that again. See if it does anything different. I wonder if it was when it was trying to get stuff set up that it was like, oh, exhausted or retried. Oh, no, there we go. That's working now. I don't know why that happened the first time. So, Class of 09 and Euro... Oh, you got Euro Truck Simulator! Let's go! Ah, that's great. That's great. I love that. They were the 2 cheapest games on my wish list. Yeah, finally. It's like we had like the little phase with Euro Truck back in October and like beginning of November, but we could probably get people together and play it again as well. That's gonna be great. That's great. Like that's hella hype. But yeah, maybe at some point we'll just... Ow. Oh yeah, no, but I'm seeing what's happening in the group chat. Like, how does that happen? How do you do it worse than like... I mean, it's probably because of like the ingredients that McDonald's in the UK uses. Oh yeah, I'm just going to send a message and then get back to stream. But yeah, that's fun. That's great. So let's see. So we added the toggle for the sprint. Oh wait, no, wait. I mean, first things first, OBS isn't even focused on the editor at the moment. And even then, I haven't actually added the input for it. So, gotta do that quick. So, to make a long story short for you or anyone else looking at this and thinking, and who doesn't know and think, what is this? What am I looking at? This is basically, so player sprint. Basically input actions. They're basically things that define like actions that you can do for inputs, like moving, looking around with the camera, jumping, stop jumping, and in this one's case, sprinting. So I'll tack that into the editor window, so just to see, and then we get the input mapping context. And again, like while the input actions basically define like names and stuff for commands and whatnot, the mapping context actually also can define like, oh, this is the key or button that you use to do this action, and like any modifiers that are applied to it. If it's like, say, for example, let me look. For example, for move, it's an axis 2D. So for example, when you're using the move action, for Y, or for W, which would be forward, and S, which would be back, swizzle axis values. It's a confusing term, but this basically means like the Y value, which would be your like W and S key presses, is recorded as like the value that you get from that position, and then this one for S just negates it, so it's like moving backwards. I don't know how to explain it in a way that's like understandable for myself either, because it's like, oh, so this does this, and huh? Like, I only understand so much as well. Like, I'm a programmer, but even then, there's some things that I'm kind of trying to get a better grasp on. Like, 3D mathing games is something I'm trying to learn more about, and I'm steadily learning more about. But it's all stuff of, like, cross products and dot products and so on, and that's, like, everything involving vectors and everything. And that's a lot to sort of take in. But this basically says here, for the player sprint action, left shift on the keyboard at the very least triggers this. And then to properly bind it to the player, because if you remember from, like, in the code editor, if I just get rid of the build output thing that's just kind of floating there, get rid of you, I was already in the right spot for this. So if you see here where it says like sprint action, like, at the moment, this is just a variable that could be set in the editor. If we want it to basically be called by the button that we set for, like, the action that we just made, then we have to set it in, like, the input section of the player's, like, values and stuff. So, sprint action, we'd say player sprint, and now when we press the sprint button, then that will trigger the sprint. And when we release the sprint button, because when we're talking about when, like, an input is cancelled, because that's what I have written for the, wait, that's the wrong one, right here where it says trigger event cancelled. That basically just happens automatically if it's like a button press and you release that button. And that's normally useful for if you're wanting something to stop when you release, like, a button. And that kind of happens as well with the jump. So, like, for the jump, as long as you're holding it, the player will just keep jumping. But if I was to jump and let go sooner, then it's, like, only a short hop. And that's kind of, like, the whole sort of thing you'd expect from, like, platformers 3D or 2D anyway. And that's cool. But, that's a trigger. But that should also... Right, let's see. Left shift, triggers, press. Then again, cancelled may not actually be the input to the thing to sort of call it on. Let's check the player's max walk speed. So, BP player... And we go to the character movements, and we search for max walk speed. Yeah, so max walk speed is currently set to 900, but in terms of, like, actually stopping the sprint, I think it's not working for some reason. So, I either do it instead as completed, which may work better for this. So I'm going to go back into the code, I'm going to stop running the editor, because from how it's built from the code, basically if I just press stop, it will close the editor. Like, any changes I make are saved, but that just sort of closes it quicker than just waiting for it to sort of close when you click X. And also clicking X on the editor while it's running like this still means you have to press the stop, otherwise you just can't rerun it. So this is one slight change. So hopefully this doesn't take nearly as long as it did the last time to build. But then again, I can never tell sometimes, because sometimes it works fine, and sometimes it wants to make me miserable. So... Okay, so it shouldn't take too long. It's like, oh, it's only building 4 actions, even though there was, like, 1 change. But then again, it does build, like, a couple of things in the background. Bro, every time I look over, I swear you're waiting for a thing to do a thing. Yeah, that's... Unfortunately, in terms of, like, making even a slight change to code that does happen. And this is because what I was wanting to work is kind of not working right now. Like, the actual sprint does work, but stopping the sprint for some reason, even though how I would handle it normally would normally work, is not cancelling the sprint. So I should also check to make sure that it's actually setting it to... Yeah, it's setting it to walk speed. Walk speed is set to 600 and sprint speed is set to 900. And it's setting it to the sprint speed when I press the sprint button, but for some reason not setting it to the walk speed. So just a slight issue. But once again, we're waiting a little bit, but not as long as the last time. Though I really should use Ryzen Master to get things to run a little better, because I can do that. Also, why the hell is it's not showing the icons for most of the things on my PC for some reason? That's weird. Right. Get Ryzen Master to try and make things a little faster, because it might be CPU stuff. I mean, who am I kidding? It's code, so it's going to be CPU intensive stuff. So I don't want to cancel it, otherwise it will just take longer to get it all set up again. But so as I said earlier, I want to try and focus on some smaller things, like on small things in general for the most part, because it's a bit more achievable, and also even if it's like taking a while to properly compile things, I can still just kind of talk about stuff. I haven't spent too much in the spring sale. Like I said, I got Infinite Wealth, and I got the classic pack for the Fancy Pants Adventures, which I can't wait to get into, because I do like the Fancy Pants games. They feel so good as platformers. Like, in terms of their movement, in terms of how fluid movement feels, it's just so ideal. It feels so good. I love it so much. But aside from that, yeah, I am a chatty man. I like being a chatty man on stream. I enjoy that a lot. Even if sometimes it's at the expense of waiting for code to compile. Because C++ is very like, ooh, let's take so long to compile, Tails. Yeah, but I do like being the chatty man on stream. And I do like getting into more of a rhythm with it. I wonder if... Yeah, to be fair, I'll close Premiere Pro for now. Like, because I have that project saved at the moment, and yeah, I do be like, but yeah, I have that project saved, the second edit I was doing, and maybe when stream is done, before I go to bed, I will try and get a little bit more of it done before I sleep, and then tomorrow maybe I wrap it up and then show people, because I can't wait to show you guys the second edit that I do. And thank you, Nightbot. You're also going to remind me to stay hydrated. Maybe. I don't know. Oh, but this does take its time. Like, this was one of the things I had gripes about last stream, because if I do this and then go back, you can see, like, it's taking its time to build actions. It recognizes the extra window for the build, like, when I go off and go back into Rider. Like, it does do its job better than Visual Studio, but at the same time, it still suffers from small hiccups. And yes, there's Nightbot reminding me to hydrate, thank you. So while that happens, I'm going to get my important tablets and stuff and sort myself out medically, because that is important to me too. But yeah, generally, in terms of how this pace is going, like I'm not too averse to, like, how slow it may be sometimes, because it's better for me to at least get some things done, and not blow a fuse over, like, not getting so much done than to try and sort of force so much to be done and making myself miserable for it. It's probably one of the healthiest mindsets I'm trying to sort of teach myself, like, especially thanks to therapy and stuff. But it takes its time. Like it's good to keep it in my head, but sometimes I do sort of waver with it a little bit. But if I'm able to sort of overcome that, and then I can just sort of move on and keep doing what I'm doing at the pace that I'm doing things at. I may need to talk to Nightbot about reminding everyone else to stay hydrated. Maybe I'll have a word with Nightbot after stream. Perhaps. But yeah, like, first was trying to be a bit more open with a whole lot more. Heater, you should probably hydrate yourself then. I think it will be streamers' job to make sure you stay hydrated. And that goes for anyone, like, watching either in chat or on the VOD or anything. If you're dehydrated, then I suggest you hydrate yourself right now, otherwise I will be very unhappy. And I don't think you want me to be very unhappy, do you? No. That sounded, like, even though that was, like, with good intentions and being kind, that sounded mildly threatening. Ah, that dot did there. Which song have we got? Oh, Bionis Shoulder from Xenoblade 1 now. Yeah! Man, I love how idyllic and peaceful this song is. I like how idyllic and peaceful quite a bit of the Xenoblade series' music is. There's like you have your battle pieces, you have your pieces when, like, things are getting dramatic, you have... You live! You got hit with ad. No! But in terms of Xenoblade's, like, the series and its soundtrack, there's, like, pieces for when things get dramatic, pieces for, like, battles and sorrow and so on and so forth, but what I really appreciate is the songs where it's just very peaceful and chill and calm. And I like that a lot about the Xenoblade series, because that has a lot of that. Like, regardless of its 1, 2, 3, even X, which is a game that I haven't played. I haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles X, because I never had a Wii U. So I haven't had the privilege of experiencing that one yet. But even from what little I hear sometimes, it's like, oh, this is very peaceful. I like this a lot. And also, just as a side note, for, like, people who may or may not already know about the VODs channel, which I will get the command for in here. Yeah, so in terms of stuff on the VODs channel, we're slowly but surely catching... When I say slowly but surely, we've almost caught up with VODs in terms of, like, streams that have been uploaded. So everything is almost current, like, entirely current. The only few streams that I haven't sort of taken into account was the previous game dev stream and the past 3 Kingdom Hearts 1 streams. Those are the only ones that are currently not on the VODs channel. Oh crap, you should probably... Yeah, you... Like, in terms of, like, getting VODs sorted, you probably should also, like, sort out, like, the VODs channel for people, so in case they want to catch up with things, if you ever do, like, a long-form playthrough kind of thing, then they could at the very least catch up with stuff. But we've almost caught up with everything. Like, I have been... Every so often when I've been, like, at home doing stuff around the house or anything, like, in the background, I would just have, like, if it's just, like, a VOD that hasn't been split up into pieces because of internet problems, just have Twitch export that straight over to YouTube. But then if it's a stream that's been split up, then I'll just spend time like getting that file ready, making sure it's all stitched together again, and then uploading it onto YouTube. Though that normally takes way longer than the direct upload from Twitch. So it kind of frustrates me when that just kind of happens, where we suffer from internet problems, and because of that, streams are split up. It's kind of a nightmare to track off sometimes, but we're almost all caught up with VODs, and very soon, when I get absolutely everything all caught up, instead of it just being, oh, we're just getting a backlog of stuff to upload onto the VODs channel, we'll also be directly uploading VODs either like just as stream ends or the day after stream ends. Probably the day after stream ends, because in terms of the Kingdom Hearts playthrough streams, it normally takes like until I wake up the next day for like copyright music stuff to be sorted out. So I'll just do that, like for that series, for that playthrough, I'll just wait until the next day to upload that. And probably just in general, because then normally, before I go to bed, I either just do stuff with friends, or I just go to bed, depending on what's happening. And if I just go straight to bed, then I'm sure as hell not getting the VOD uploaded. Also, this is taking a bit longer to compile. I'm concerned. All I did was make one change to the project. Then again, the speed that this is probably going is probably the reason, like, the fact that it didn't take so long the last time is probably the reason why there was that initial, like, oh, this oh, nope, there we go, perfect. Speak of the devil, it finally finished. So, now, hopefully this works. Like, it was such a long wait for a little thing, but in a way, that's just what happens with C++ sometimes. Even if you make, like, a slight change to things, it takes so long. So, not the greatest sometimes, but I'm learning to bear with it, and I would normally do a thing that makes getting this stuff compiled way quicker, but if I did that, then we would constantly just see everything going off, and you just have like a lot of blank screens during stream, which was what happened last time, and I don't really want to do that. So at the very least, if I do things this way, like, it takes a bit longer, but at the same time, we can still talk over while looking at the code and stuff, and just, you know, if you're one for sort of reading what I've written here, maybe you like a little bit of code. Maybe a little bit of code, like, sort of brightens your mood or does something else. I don't know what it will do, but but yeah, right, editor's back here, editor's back up and running now. So first things first, we gotta wait for it to slowly, load up when I click play mode, and then we go into the player, go into the character movement. Right, I do not want to reopen those. Max walk speed. Okay, right, so that doesn't work at all. So what that does, it's because, like, when you press in on an input, when whatever sort of process that it triggers is completed, say, for example, where's Ryder? There's Ryder. So, for example, like, oh no, wait, that's Moradane. I just realized what song is playing from the Xenoblade, but that's Moradane, but a very chill, relaxed version of the Moradane song. But anyway, I digress. So here, where it says E-trigger event triggered, there's also E-trigger event completed. So completed basically says, oh, when whatever it's doing from that trigger is completed, then it will just call the complete, and whatever is assigned to completed will just be called. Since start sprint is basically just a singular line of code, it just completes in an instant, and then because of that, it's immediately calling stop sprint. So as soon as it sets sprint, like the walk speed to the sprint speed, it's saying, oh, this is done now, we'll just set it to the walk speed now. And because of that, we're never getting a sprint. So I have essentially Like, I've made this mistake. But to be fair, it's good to make mistakes, because then it's like, oh, so we could do this. But this doesn't work here sometimes. So... And that's fine. Trying to teach that to myself as well. It's okay, to, like, even if you're trying to do what you can, it's okay to... It's okay to make mistakes as well. So... Instead, we're going to do a stop sprint action. And... Instead of doing what we did here, where we're binding the sprint action, we're going to bind it to the stop sprint action. And then we're going to say that it's triggered. And now you may be thinking, if we're going to do this thing with stop sprint, then how would you trigger it but not have it be pressed? So we can go through that quickly. So as I said, going back into the input mapping context, because this is the key part of this. As I said, there's like triggers that you can define for a certain action. So here we have the sprint. This should be showing up on stream as well. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Right. So you can basically define like a trigger. So like right here, I have this trigger that says it's pressed. And in terms of like triggers, you can have non-corded action, which applies a chord action that must... I don't know what corded action does. Combo is like you have to complete all actions in the combo array based on the combo completion of actions specified. I don't know too much about this either. Down means like when you has sort of pressed it fully down rather than like, oh, it's only being pressed a little bit, then it will trigger it. Hold is like after holding it for like a little bit of time, it will trigger it then. Hold and release is like you hold it for a certain amount of time and then you release it. Pressed is what we have it set to at the moment. Pulse basically fires it at an interval. So every so often in seconds when you have it held down, I think. Oh yeah, so yeah. Completed only fires when the reach limit repeat limit is reached. Oh, so there's a repeat limit for this. Released is basically what we want. Tap is basically for, I think, touchscreen, I think. But released is what we want for a stop sprint. So we're going to make another input action. And we're going to call it IA_player stop sprint. This S key, I swear. I need a new keyboard at some point. When I am able to, I need to save up for a brand new keyboard. Because while I've had this one for over 3 years, almost 4 years in September, because it was when I was upgrading my PC with like the CPU and the motherboard and whatnot at the time. Like I got this keyboard at that point in time, and like it's done me well. It served like its purpose pretty well. But the S key and the B key, I don't know why. It's all a bit finicky at the moment. It's a bit cack at the moment. If I were to use a Britishism, it's a bit cack at the moment. So, and to explain why it's that, when I just tap the S or the like the B keys, like it doesn't sort of like it's flashing on the keyboard like I'm pressing the button, but what it's doing is basically saying, oh, you haven't pressed it fully yet, press it down even further. So, right, but enough of that. For triggers, so you may see that with stop sprint, I've set it to left shift, again, much like player sprint, but with triggers, we'll set it to released, and this will only trigger when the player releases the left shift button. This is basically what I did with the jump and the stop jump, because this makes it possible for the whole sort of, if you're holding the jump button, then you sort of jump higher, or if you release early, then you just do a little short hop jump. This makes that work. So that's getting that set up. And I have, like, the stuff set up in the code. But because of how this whole shtick works, we're going to have to close the editor, wait for that to like properly close, and that's kind of closed now. And now we compile again. So again, we are waiting, but this shouldn't be so painful, hopefully. Is this... I'm just kind of mesmerized by the Xenoblade music at the moment. Sorry about that. I just kind of, like, I was in the middle of talking, and then I just got so caught up in the soundtrack that it was just... Like, I could just listen to some of the calming music from this series, like when I'm out on a walk, or when I'm just sat alone, and I could just get lost in it so badly. Like the exact same way that I get so into like the high energy songs from the series, I get so into just like the vibe of all these songs where it's just like, oh, this is like not overly bouncy, this is just very slow and very gentle and very chill. Like, I can appreciate this a lot because it definitely keeps me more sort of on the mellow side when I'm just trying to get on with stuff. And helps me keep focused as well. Oh, it's compiling way faster now! Like, now I'm getting into the sort of rhythm of, like, writing changes to the code, compiling things and stuff. It's not taking so long, so it's warming itself up. So, that didn't take so long to compile that time, which is good. Or maybe it's because I actually gave it a moment to wait before I started compiling the code again. But, result! We're back in! So... Again, we have to wait for play mode to sort of kick in, and then first, again, I'm going to look at the character movement, because this is what I'm keeping an eye on things for. So, character movement, max walk speed is currently 600. Oh wait, no, that's why I haven't said it. I almost forgot. Right. Yeah, content creation is hard. I mean, it's taken me this long to, like, properly try and practice editing. And I know, like, if I had the motivation long ago, I would have had it sorted ages ago. But at the very least, I'm doing things to try and remedy that now, rather than be like, I'm never doing this. I'm trying to sort of get along that rhythm, that flow of making, even if it's like smaller bits of content. I'm practicing with smaller bits, just to be easy on myself. And then sort of, as I go on, if I want to make like a full video or anything, I can do that. So, right, now let's talk. Been messing with my VODs channel, setting up a default description so that becomes easier and blah de blah. Just a lot of things to do that I haven't considered. I mean, to be fair, because of the huge gap between when you were last streaming 3 years ago and when you started streaming again recently, you wouldn't have really sort of thought that this would be a thing you would do again. So I can understand not having that all set up. I mean, I know I had my stuff set up like 2 years ago, but that was when I was consistently streaming while we were still at university. And then you look at the VODs channel and you see, wow, there's like these streams from this point in time where I was streaming Yakuza 4 and Destiny 2 The Witch Queen and stuff. And then, boom, there's a huge gap of time where I haven't uploaded anything. And then there's, okay, now I'm uploading my recent stuff again. But at the very least, you're sorting things out now, rather than be like, oh, I should have done this so much sooner. At the very least, you're getting on with it, and that's the best. And the best you can do really is getting it done. YouTube VODs channels weren't a thing when I was streaming before. Oh yeah, and also side note, the whole sprint, the toggle sprint is working now. So you can see, if you can see in like where it says max walk speed, you can see it at 600 before I press shift, 900 when I press shift, and 600 when I release shift. So it works now. So sprinting works, which is good. And that's just a simple way to toggle sprint. But while having it sort of like... I'm trying to think, what's the word? It's coming to me. Oh yeah, no, now I remember. Like, having it sort of instantly sort of shift to that new speed, like, it's good and all, but in a platformer, what I really want, because I know in terms of... and now I'm trying to think of an example. Yeah, now I remember. Sonic... if anyone remembers Sonic 4, Episode 1 and 2, then you'll remember how that game felt to play. There was, like, so much, like, stop and go, stopping on a dime stuff, which really, that isn't, like, the whole sort of flow for Sonic's movement. Or at the very least, classic Sonic's movement. So... that is essentially what's happening here right now. It's like an instant snappy, like press shift to sprint, and it just sets it to that speed. What I really want to do, like getting that basic functionality to work, that's good. But what I want it to do is that I want it to sort of gradually pick up over time. So, to give a good example to people in chat, and especially for you, Heat, this is a little example for you. Think about how in the Mario games where, like, I'd say 2D Mario, where, like, you'd have Mario's basic walk speed, but then when you were holding sprint, he would sort of slowly warm up to his sprint speed. Basically, I want to do that for the sprinting instead of what I have at the moment. So, again, we're going to go back into the code, and sure, if you're not so inclined for coding and stuff, you may be a little bit sick of seeing this at this point, but we're going to get something done properly. So... yeah, I may need to look at another project that I've been helping with just as an example, because what I'm wanting to do is essentially similar to something that I've already done with like player code in that project, where if they're holding, like, depending on if they're holding or releasing the right mouse button, then it will set like a target sort of thing to zoom, and then it will adjust the camera zoom based on what the target is. So I'm going to find that. I'm going to open it in Notepad because that's way easier than just having Visual Studio slow down the system. I'm gonna... so... that's... zoom. Set field of view. Oh yeah, no, there we go. To Photoshop to make thumbnail. Dies of cringe. Oh yeah, no, right. So... I have what I need for this. So I'm going to close the editor. So what I want here is that instead of just directly setting the speed, which is what I'm doing at the moment, I'm going to put this with the other booleans, because this is just organizing for the sake of my little brain. B is sprinting. So this is basically, like, this is true if the player is holding the sprint. This is false if they're not holding the sprint. That's basically what I'm wanting to do. So if I go into start sprint... No! No, Kiki, get off the... B is sprinting equals true. And then B is sprinting there equals false. So get character movement, I don't want that to be triggered anymore, so I'll comment it out for the time being. Ah! Right, I'll comment these out for the time being, because if this doesn't work then I'll just set them back to normal anyway. So, what I need is, I need another method that is called basically every frame. So... where is the void? Void! But so void set interp movement speed float filter time. And then we'll just have that defined here. So to people who are not aware, like this thing here, delta time, like what is this? What is delta time? So delta time is basically, I think it's basically like just seconds, or the time that has passed since like the last frame, and it sort of like it accounts for like frame rates and performance issues and so on. It basically means that everything runs like and happens at like a consistent time for everyone, regardless of like what frame rate or the specs of their system and so on. Basically, this is just called every frame. This is called the entire time for the player. So where is tick? I don't... yeah, there's tick. Set in terp movement speed delta time. What song is this? This is Izana Plains from Xenoblade 3. Ah! Right, so set in terp move speed is we basically have a target, float, speed, target, equals, and so B is sprinting. This is a clever thing. This is a ternary statement, and that may sound like mumbo jumbo, but basically it will do a thing for a value either on the left or right of this, depending on whether or not this is true. So, for example, if I say that the player is sprinting, then speed target is set to the sprint speed. Otherwise, if they're not sprinting, then it is set to the walk speed. And this is just an easier, like a short form way of having this set. So that just makes it like a little easier to read in terms of like how long the code is. Which I like this a lot because it helps you make it so neat. Ah, right. And then there's also another part of this which I need, which is another float variable. So I don't need to define this as like accessed in the thing because this is not a thing I'm setting. So float current movement speed. And this is important just for being able to have like an in-between value. So here I'll say current movement speed, define that as 0 because that's its default anyway. And then when the game begins, just say if get character movement. So I'll even say if the character movement even exists, which it will. It's a player character, but this is just safety. So current movement speed equals get character movement max walk speed, and that's basically setting the current movement speed to what the player starts as. Then in set interrupt move speed, we'll say current movement speed equals, and then I just need to refresh my memory on this. Whoops. Yep. So say fmath finterp2. So we have the current value. So we'll just say the current movement speed. Then we have speed target delta time delta tm, and then there is another thing that I forgot, which I can also just make this as an edit anywhere value. I forgot U property, so just be property, and remember, property is theft. So float speed interp move interp speed. He didn't be, but move interp speed, and then we say, where is it? It's here. Move interp speed. There we go. And then get character movement max walk speed equals current movement speed. There we go. But now I'm also going to quickly set like a little default for the interp. So move interp speed, and I'll go and set it to say 0.33f. So it's like a third of a second for it to adjust to like each little sort of difference in speed. So so if I look in tick is all the way down here. This is being called when start sprint is called by pressing the shift key. It will set this to true. When it's released, it will set this to false. And the reason why we need to do this is because in the beginning, in the thing that we wrote, which is here, if this is true, so we have the speed target, which is like what speed the player is wanting to reach. If this is true, then the speed they want to reach is the sprint speed. If not, then they just want to reach the normal walking speed. And then this slowly, smoothly moves what the player's current movement speed is to that target over time based on how quickly it should be moving towards it. And then at each possible frame, it will just keep setting the max walk speed to this. And does it smoothly over time instead of what we had before, where pressing the sprint button would instantly set it to the max sprint speed, or releasing it would instantly set it to the normal walk speed. So that's that bit done. We're gonna build now, and we're gonna talk more about stuff. And I hope that me diving into things and trying to explain the technical stuff in a way that is good and fun is, you know, just a nice little thing to have in the background. Because I do like talking about the code, but at the same time, I don't talk about it too often because it's just like a thing of, oh god, do people understand what I'm saying? Or how do I make it sound in a way that people would like to hear or would like to understand it? I think, as far as like explaining things go, I'm doing a decent job of it. I'm doing what I can to explain it in a way that's, you know, it can be digested, but it's not like I'm like cutting so much. And also I was browsing Twitter while I was while I've been waiting for this to compile again. Heater. Heater. Why is that what you reply to Dragon's tweet? I'm not mad. I'm just concerned. I'm just concerned. I'm not mad or upset because it was. It was in the tweet. Oh, God. I like having fun with this kind of stuff. Like, even if it's just, like, waiting, it's like looking at things and then seeing, oh, this has happened, or that has happened, or this is something we can talk about, or I can talk about, and then people listen. And that's cool, that's fun. And because, like, with this game, Dev Stream, things are not, like, falling apart like they were the last time, it's a lot more enjoyable to sort of go through and be like, yeah, this stuff is happening, but there's also this thing to talk about, and I enjoy it a lot. I am very talky tonight. I don't know. I say, like, I don't know why, as in, like, I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. I like talking on stream. And it's a good way to sort of, like, practice, like... it seems weird, but it's a good way to practice public speaking, I think. But not, like, an expert's way of practicing it, if that makes sense. Oh! Okay, that would have been nice to know that I could do this from inside of Ryder. I'm discovering things about this IDE that would have been nice to know the last time, or at any point since the last time I streamed game development. But yeah, you know, that is a thing that do happen. Although it didn't take so long for things to compile the last time, I fear it's going to take a little bit of time for it to compile this time around because of how much I actually changed in terms of the code. Because, let's see here. So, in terms of, like, adding values, like, we added, like, this thing which just stores a thing, this thing which actually determines how quickly the current movement speed is smooth to its target. We added another method for the purpose of setting what the current movement speed is. We set, like, the default of this. Of these. And then set, like, this to be, like, the regular movement speed at the start of the game. And then... like, we completely changed these methods, so instead of, like, toggling the speed to change, it's toggling the boolean, and then this is being set every frame. Like, quite a bit in terms of, like, the structure of how sprinting works has changed. And for people who have, like, kind of unbeknownst to people, like, who don't really sort of keep up with the whole development process of things, this is, like, this can encompass, like, a little bit of how development would work sometimes, and that's a lot. Cat in wave keyboard. Sorry, cats. But this is taking its time, but that's alright. But at the very least, there's a little bit of a reason why it's taking its time, because there was quite a bit changed. And hopefully, like, although, like, this is taking its time, in terms of adjusting, like, the interp speed, or how quickly, like, the speed would adjust from walking to sprinting and from sprinting to walking, at the very least, like, where is it? Where is the variable? Like, this can be adjusted in the editor. Oh, there she goes. Good Kiki. But this can be adjusted in the editor, which means if I don't like how quickly the speed changes, I can just simply adjust the value in the editor, and then I can make it faster or slower. Although, there's also the matter of I could just... But that's thoughts for another day. Or for later on in stream. I'm not too sure. I could do it either way. I could just go about sort of making that change now, but then that would just probably make things take even longer. So I'm going to put it aside as an idea to do for either another game dev stream or to do... or to do in my spare time. Sorry about that, jeez. Also, I think it would be very neat, like, although this is not like a whole portfolio shtick kind of thing, or not kind of displayed on my portfolio right now, I feel like it would be very good that if I had clips of what I've been working on, that I could just show these off at, like, the next game development event I go to, because there was the one that I went to back in September, which I enjoyed a lot, and that was how I got in touch with the people for that internship position that I didn't get in the end. But I feel like I could definitely show it at the next one, because the same event is being run again, but next month, end of next month, and I have the Saturday booked for that point. So I feel like if I could at least get a little bit done, like not an excessive amount, but some foundation done to say, yeah, I've been learning this and I've been trying to do more of this in code and so on and so forth, that would be good to show off, even if it's just like clips of the stream and whatnot, or if I just make short little gameplay clips that I send to myself and show it via my phone or so on. Like, that's an idea. That's a way I could do things. Not necessarily the way I can do things, but a way I can do things. Oh, yep, and we're slowly getting the thing fully compiled now. I'd say that took like 7 minutes or so. Maybe 8 or 9, I'm not too sure. Although it's still wrapping up like the actual end bits of this. So this could still take like a few minutes maybe. But we're not waiting like an excessive amount of time. This was the one thing I was fearing. It's that, will this take forever to compile? And it's not taking forever. It's taking a bit, but it's not taking like an eternity like it used to when, like, before I started using Rider. So that's good results, I guess. Oh yeah, but speaking of I say speaking of, but going back to way earlier when I was talking about the Dagger Heart characters we made in like the D&D session yesterday for the character creation stuff, those like 3 characters, I mean the second one specifically, but those 3 characters gave me such a strong urge to be like, I want to draw these now and visualize who they are and what they look like, and sort of breathe life into the characters, and I want to do that as an art stream. Hence why I was like asking for people's opinions, like, oh, if I did this as an art stream, like, should I? And I know I really shouldn't, like it's not supposed to be a case of, oh, if I should ask people if this is a good idea. Like, I can ask for like a little bit of input, and I shouldn't have like people's opinions always be the definitive, oh, don't do this or do this. But it's nice to get some input, and it's nice to see like different opinions on it. So I think I'm definitely excited to try and attempt drawing these characters on Monday. It's going to be fun. And it's going to be another day where it's like, oh, it's not just like tomorrow when I'm practicing art, but it's also going to be that day when I'm putting a little bit of that into practice. Like, I'm practicing it, but then I'm putting it into proper practical use. Although it's just on an art stream. But it's still, like, exciting to do and to try and show off. Even if it's like another sort of slow chill stream, because even then, like, if I'm just drawing and doodling and doing all that fun stuff, then I can just kind of talk about other things at the time, and I'll enjoy it a lot. So I can't wait to give it a go. And it's giving me a warning about a data member that's saying, oh, this is initialized with this, or this is initialized before this, and so on and so forth. But that doesn't actually mean any big problems. It's just like, oh, this has just been done. It succeeded with warnings. Yes, I know. I know. Current movement speed is initialized after move and turf speed. But does that really matter? That doesn't really matter in my opinion. So it's just, I don't know why, it just flags up with those little warnings. Like, it's not a major problem, but it's just kind of... I wonder if there's, like... There's one song that I'm thinking of from Xenoblade Chronicles 1 that I'm hoping is here, but if not, then I can always just kind of look it up and say, yeah, this is another song that I like from the game. And then I'll probably just... like, while I'm talking about stuff, going on like a spiel about... Oh, it is, but it's right at the end! Why is it at the end of this video? So, like, for context here, like, this whole, like, video of Xenoblade Chronicles music is 3 hours long, and I started it at the start of stream. By the time I get to the song that I want to sort of talk about, it will just be the end of stream, and that will upset me. So maybe at some point I skip forward to that song and then find another playlist to use for like the rest of the stream, maybe. I mean, not just context for Heat, but for chat in general, and also people watching things back. It will be nice to kind of sort of share that song, because I like it. I like it because it's so serene and graceful, and it's just very peaceful and stuff. Right. Alright, that works. Right, so this is why I made it adjustable. It's like it slowly picks up, but it feels like it picks up too slowly. Is this what I think it is? Yeah, this is Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but it's a reference to a song from Xenoblade Chronicles 1. That's a thing I love about Xenoblade Chronicles 3, is that so much can be a callback to 1 or 2, and I just find beauty in that. Okay, so what I'm noticing, like, it worked. Like, if I was to say, go into the BP player and say, where is... So, move interp speed is 0.1. I don't know if this means it will be... I need to refresh my memory on whether or not this would actually be faster. So, I'm going to see what happens when I save it set to 0.1. Yeah, no, that takes way too long, I think. Let's set it to 1 instead. And again, I may be wrong here. I may be getting my things mixed up. Oh wait, no, that's faster. That is, yeah, so... So, from my learning, from my understanding, is that while, like having the interp work that way works, it's that I want things to be kind of separate for both the sprinting and stopping sprinting. So, we're going to quickly dive back into the code and do things this way. So, we're going to stop the editor again, and we're going to make some tweaks to this. So this is currently called move interp speed. Just to give it a better name, I'm gonna call sprint start interp speed. So I'm gonna call it sprint start interp speed. But if you notice it happening, it was working. It was working where it would like pick up speed and then sort of slowly like slow down as well. But what I want to happen is that I want the player to gradually pick up speed, but then in terms of how it stops, I want the player to just stop kind of quickly. Like not too quickly, like not like on a dime, but I want it to sort of slow down gradually, but in a way that's like quick, if that makes sense. So screw it, we'll try out a sprint stop interp speed of 2. And then, where is... It's down here, because this is getting an error. So, say... You know what, screw it, we'll do it this way as well. So, float... And we'll make this a local variable instead. So, move interp speed equals B is sprinting... Sprint start interp speed, otherwise we'll do the sprint stop interp speed. And now since both of these are configurable, we could just try and tweak things so that starting and stopping the sprint feels nice. I don't want it to be 133, jeez! But yeah, so that's another change that we made, and it may take a little while, but this is just making sure that the sprinting feels nice. Like, getting the basics to work, that was step 1, and then I've been staring at a blank Photoshop canvas for like 20 minutes now. Do you have any ideas for what, thumbnail you're wanting to try and make, or is it just kind of trying to bounce things around? Because I may have a little idea for, if it was for like the first stream back where you're doing, unless you're doing an icon for the VOD channel, in which case, but if it was like an actual video thumbnail for a VOD, then I had like a brief little idea, but I'm not too sure. I'm struggling because I don't have a clear idea in my head, I guess. Yeah, that happens a lot. That happens with me a lot too, when I was trying to sort of think of how I was going to edit the clips from, like, way back when. But, like, I eventually came up with stuff, it's just, it took so long to think about it. Because if you can remember, 2 weeks ago I asked you about, editing stuff, I think. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago because a week ago was Mother's Day, but or British Mother's, or the UK's Mother's Day. But 2 weeks ago, I asked you about like Premiere Pro and like how I would go about like trying to come up with ideas for like editing clips and what I wanted to go for, and like it took so long. Like I only had the spark today, but that wasn't too bad. So I find it nice that most of the calm songs from this video have been like the nighttime themes. And I love that. Like, just commenting on the songs again, like... God, I could go on so much about how much I love, like, the Xenoblade games, despite having a little bit of, a mild indifference for 2, but... I absolutely adore 1, and I adore 3 as well, and I adore how they wrapped up 3 with the expansion that they released last year, which, man, it's almost been a year since that was released, and I was waiting so long for it. I was just, like, when they announced, like, revealed the Wave 4, and they showed off, like, a small snippet of what may be happening, and it was just... God, I need this. And then when I played it, I was, in a sense, I'd say this in a jokey way, but in a sense, it's kind of like proper as well. Like emotionally, it really sort of changed things because it's just like Xenoblade. The Xenoblade games are it's one of those series where I just very attached to things in those games. Like, I'm attached to the characters, I'm attached to the story, I'm attached to the things that happen between characters and the world around them, and I just love the games, man. It's just like the soundtracks are beautiful, and like how the games look. Like, I wouldn't say the Wii version of Xenoblade Chronicles 1, because if, like, playing Definitive Edition and then going back to, say, the Wii version or the 3DS port of 1, like, you can't really go back to playing, that thing. So... But... I just love how the games look. Like, not just the character designs, but also the environments as well, because... Hold on. I'm trying to think. Save the image, because I want to do the thing. Where is image? This image was like the Gojo GIF that I downloaded for the first stream back. Where did I save that? Didn't I save it in downloads? It's a JPEG large file? What the hell is a JPEG large file? What is a JPEG large file? There we go. Oh, this song has lyrics? Is this from X? No, this is from 2. Oh shit. I couldn't remember. Jesus. But yeah, no, now I've got the thing I was looking for. Let me just put that back onto the normal tab and get rid of that tab. Let's see. What was I doing again? Oh yeah, I was sharing like some of like the environments, or one of the environments from Xenoblade Chronicles 1. Where is, so open that, and that sets it to pretty big. Like, I'm gonna briefly sort of show like the screenshot of one of the environments from Xenoblade Chronicles 1. This is the RFC. This is the RFC at night, and it's beautiful. I love it. I love it so much. It's been like the background wallpaper for my PC for the past 4 years. And I just love how it looks. It's so beautiful and pretty, like at night with all the stars and all the colors and stuff. And like all the floating islands and whatnot. Like, it's yeah, that built with warnings, but I understand it's gonna build with warnings. But that's just, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I could go on a whole spiel about so much else from the Xenoblade Chronicles games that I enjoy so much. But that's one place from Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, like the first game Definitive Edition, that I love. And that is pretty cool. So hopefully, because it doesn't seem like the thing crashed. Let's see, like character movement. Right, I do not want to reopen it. So I should also actually zoom down to, yeah. There we go. Oh wait, did I forget to... I did. I forgot to switch it back to the engine. Oops. Right. So now I'm going to give a demonstration again. So, as you can see, max walk speed. It is 600. As you know, that's the basic walk speed. So when I hold down the sprint button, it will accelerate it with the sprint start speed, which I set, like, for the sake of things, I set it to 1 for the interp speed. So it's like quick, but it's not too quick, you know? Now, I set the sprint stop interp speed to 2. And that is supposed to have it slow down at a much faster rate. So if I let go of sprint, that does it basically, like, not instantly, but it does it very quickly. So that is a very good sort of, like, gradual build-up for sprinting. And I like that a lot. Like, if I had a proper running animation for this character, like a proper sprinting animation, then I'd probably be able to give it a lot more weight. Maybe, like, either before I get things, like, before I get, like, a proper character made or found through free assets and stuff, or when I do that, like, either before that or if I do that, then I'll just get a proper sprint animation, and it will look a lot better. So, yeah, that is sprinting. I know that took, like, basically, like, a slow kind of, like, process of setting up, but it was a case of we were setting up how it worked initially, and then waiting for that to compile, and then setting up, like, a little bit more of it, like, a little bit more advanced things for it, and then compiling that, and then making the adjustments based on what I felt would feel right. And overall, like, it feels good. Like, of course, it could be a bit quicker in terms of, like, how speed picks up, in which case I could just go into the player blueprint and I can adjust how quickly it does things. So 1.4 instead for the sprint start interp speed. Or hell, I could have, like, the sprint start be 2 and the stop be 3 instead. So if I adjust things like this, if I go back down here, go to this. But yeah, that's how that works, and I'm very happy with that. So, right, moving on. So we have sprints, we have air dashes, which are pretty good. I'm trying to think of how I could get things to... Like, see, the one thing I could do is that I could take a... Like, I could take a leaf out of Mario's book, but then that would require adjusting some things in the code again, but that is probably what's going to happen anyway, and, like... And by taking some notes from Mario, I mean by making a double, like Mario's, like, triple jump thing, where it's like you jump normally once, you jump at a normal height, you jump slightly higher on the second repeated jump, and on the third, you're, like, jumping very high. But I don't want to exactly just be like, oh, this is just Mario, but with an air dash. Like, that would be cool, but I don't want that to just be, you know, the case. I mean, so... But then again, in some games, it's not really a case of we're reinventing the wheel too much. We're just kind of taking an established formula, but adjusting it a little bit to suit what we want. And this is... Oh, this is Xenoblade 3. This is... I like this song. But then there's calm and emotional music from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and I feel like depending on, like, what songs are in that video... Like, I'll pause this for now, and I'll open this link in the new tab. Depending on what songs are in this video... God damn it. Ads. Right, I'll mute this ad, because god damn it, YouTube. Oh yeah, the Dragon Ball card game is available on PC, so this is... Like, depending on what song it is, it might actually be said. Stays warmth. I'm trying to remember... Like, Feelings Risen to the Sky is another emotional one. Okay, so not too damaging. Not too emotionally damaging for me, so... Maybe I'll use that next time, or I'll use an entirely different game for the ambience, but... Anyway, back to the video that I had before. So, I was just checking that quickly. But in terms of... Let me think. Oh, right, no, I have an idea. So, I could do wall jumps. So... But I would need to check. Because... right. I'm gonna look at the skeletal mesh for this model, because there is something I'm wanting to work out. So, looking at how this works... I say looking at how this works, I'm looking at the structure of a skeleton. God. Where is the root? Root! What the hell? I wondered why you were quiet. My tab got me. No! Did you... Was it an Opera GX thing, or... I mean, it could be, but... Right, so that's the skeleton, that's the root. I think at the root, maybe where I would need to cast the... Yeah, perfect, right. I know what I'm doing. So what I'm doing, or what I'm trying to... Like, it may be different for each one. Like, for the most part, I'm assuming that it's going to be the root. But just in case, I'm going to say... Right, so I'm going to switch back over to Rider for this, because I'm going to sort of go through this bit by bit. U property, and again, I'm going to say edit anywhere, blueprint read only. But instead of the category movement, we're going to say wall jump. That's going to be the category for this one. Now, I'm using Chrome at the moment. I might have been tabbed into the wrong program and pressed... Ah, okay. But yeah, make a long story short here, originally I was considering, like, taking a page from Mario's book and, doing, like, the sort of one jump, double jump, triple jump thing, but then I thought, you know what, I'm not just gonna do what Mario does, I'm gonna do a little bit, but try and sort of do my own thing at the same time, which is why I've done air dashes, and I'm gonna do wall jumps too, and see, like, if I can do, eventually, wall running, but it's difficult finding a good tutorial for wall running, because a lot of it's like, we're doing this in blueprints. No, I don't want this in blueprints. I want to do this in code. Because I know doing things in blueprint is a good way to prototype things, and it's a good way to teach people how to, like, get used to coding, especially if they don't have experience with a programming language. But at the same time, I try to find, like, a resource for coding in wall running in C++, and I can't find it. So, but then that would probably just transform it from a platformer into, like, a parkour game, and I will want to still make this a platformer. Although, it may also be possible to have a platformer made where you can wall run. But, you know, I digress. So, fname, we're going to call this sphere cast point. And it's not going to be like, oh, it's wall sliding. It, at the very least, not right now. But starting off simply, I'm just going to say, hey, hey, we're gonna have the like if the player presses, but then I would have to adjust how things would work with air dashes as well. So, oh, wait, no, I have an idea. Right, I know how to change this, but I will do that later, or in a little bit. So, sphere cast point, that's basically saying where... Oh, wait, I did change over to... Yeah. So, sphere cast point, that's a name that it's going to take in for a bone on, say, this skeleton, for example, where a sphere will be drawn to try and check whether or not the player is trying to jump off of a wall. So, for example, I'll have it cast from the root bone, which is, like, it starts here. And this is basically the origin of the skeleton for this model. And then this, like, it will be cast here at this point, around this area. And if it detects, like, a wall, and ignores, like, if it ignores the player and detects a wall, then it will just say, yeah, we're jumping off of a wall. We'll jump off of the wall. So, obviously, I'll go through how to... sort of how this works, because this sounds like a whole big thing at the moment. So, but hey, as long as it's fun to go through, I like going through this. So, I think for the longest time, the one thing I've really wanted to do is, like, properly sort of talk to someone about all of this. Like, even if it's someone who doesn't really know too much, like, being able to kind of talk about stuff in this way, it's just very neat. So, bool, check for wall jump. And we're gonna say, skipping for the VOD for my first stream is kind of funny. Const F hit result. Address. Or reference, call this wall hit. I'm noticing when I draw, I tilt my head to the left, then right, then left, then right. To be fair, I kind of do that sometimes when drawing as well. Not too much, but I do it a little bit. So I'm just going to say return false for now. Otherwise, this method's just going to throw a hissy when I try and do this. So... So just gonna say this is passed in here, and when the player presses their jump again, because where is it? Where player jump is called, basically if they haven't air dashed and they're just in the air at the moment, it will say, well, air dash, but I'll say if get character movement is falling, because I don't want this to happen like when the player's off on the ground, because that would be... Oh, God. That would be weird. So, is falling, and it's check for wall jump. So I need a hit result. So F hit result, wall hit. Wall hit is now. I'm using it. Right. So wall hit is passed onto there. And then I'll, instead of just saying this as an if, I'll say it as an else if. So, if this is met, then we'll just say, do a wall jump. And I'm making that as a note, so I know that this is supposed to be doing this. Otherwise, we'll check if they haven't used their air dash, they're in the air, and not check or... To be fair, I don't really need to call the method. I can call the method in the thing. Like, it's good to do this, but I'll say bool b has found wall equals, and then we call this method, and then it will return the boolean and put it into there. And then we just say if they have found the wall, has found wall, then we'll do a wall jump, and then we'll say if they haven't has found wall. So, if we want to check if, like, a boolean variable is false, if we want to say if something hasn't happened, then we would put an exclamation mark in front of it, and that basically says, so if this variable is not true, then we'll, and, like, this is true, and this variable is not true, then we'll do this. That's basically what that does. But I need to actually define what, check for wall jump does now. So wall hit. And what I want is a float here. So below this, call it so float. And I want this to be another U property because we need this. Float and call this wall check radius, and in the constructor, which is the thing up here, which is where I'm just defining the defaults for all of these, I'm going to say check wall check radius say 20.f. Draw debug helpers that age. And I'm adding this include to the character class because there's something I need to properly check when I'm doing this, and it's a lot better to visualize it. So check for wall jump. So say get world sphere. No. Okay, I need to remember what the equivalent of a circle trace or a sphere trace is. UE5 sphere. Is it sphere overlap actors? Sphere trace for objects. That's not in the code. Right, so sphere overlap actors. That's also a thing. What is Kismet system like sphere overlap actors? So how would I call this? Kismet system library. Do I have it here? Kismet, yeah. Kismet system library. Sphere. Oh yeah, right, so sphere trace single. This start, right. Now I need to remember how to get the world position of a bone, because I can never, like an actor's bone, because I can never remember how to do this. So get world location of bone, UE5. Oh, it's get bone location by name, right. Is that it? Get bone location by C++. That doesn't help me. Sorry if this is like I'm not doing too much here. I'm trying to find out how to do a thing, and I can't remember how to do this one thing. Let me think. If I go into the other project that I was helping with, and open with Notepad, so I'm not overloading it with bone. Oh, it's get bone transform, right. So I would need to say f vector trace start equals I have immediately forgotten get mesh and get bone location. So this requires an f name. So if you remember, I made the name for sphere cast point, and that's just going to go here. So sphere cast point is going to serve as like the name of the bone that it tries to get for the start. And because I'm not really going to be having an end defined for it, this is just going to fulfill the thing for both. Ah, no! Trace start. Trace and... oh, trace start. Wall check radius. So now we have trace channel, B, trace complex, const, array, actor, actors to ignore. Oh god. F result out hit. Wall check radius. E trace type query trace channel. This is right, so E trace type query channel. I'm just gonna call it trace channel type. What does that? It's never used, right? Trace channel type. So you're used now. Then we have bool. I don't know what this means. False, null, pointer. It doesn't like. Oh, I was about to say it doesn't like the fact that I use null pointer. E draw debug. E draw debug trace. For duration. Wall hit. Wait, whoops. I've lost it. Ignore self. True. It cannot convert R value to null pointer to type, TRA, actor, wall hit, non-const. Ah, no, it can't be a const value. Right, so I need to go in and edit this. Right, let's see. Where is... Right, no, it has to be an F hit result, but not a const. That was my one problem. It's because it's a const. And now I need to change that because that's no longer the same as the, say, T array of a actor pointer ignored objects. Like, this is the one thing that needs to be sorted before it can actually be ignored. Oh, there we go. Is it because this isn't initialized or isn't defined? Anyway, that should work. So, if wall hit dot be blocking hit. So this is basically saying if we've detected like a physical wall that's like blocking the hit of something, else. So we say false. No, not false. Return false. But if be blocking hit is true, that means we've detected something and we're wanting to return true here. So we're wanting to do this. So that is how this is trying to shape out, and I'm hoping this works, though all you can hope for is that it does work, and if it doesn't work, then you just go in and fix things, which is not always an easy experience, but it is part of the programming experience. But so now I'm trying to remember what the next part of this is. Oh yeah, no, I need to go back to check for wall jump. No, not check for wall jump. I need to go check where is the jump. Where is jump? Player jump. So if ball B has do a wall jump. I could, yeah, I'm gonna make another method where it actually does the wall jump, because I'm not going to bloat the jump method with all the code for the jump or the wall jump. So void wall jump, and we're taking in the F hit result. We're taking in that hit result that we just passed in and got the result back from. And we're going to say wall hit again. Really, because it was a case of it being returned through reference, I should have called it out wall hit, just because that's a naming convention that you would use in Unreal. So where is out wall hit? That's better. That's bugging me less. So wall jump is the actual wall jump that we want to execute when it actually detects that wall. So we'll say wall jump, and then just wall hit. And then wall hit is passed in here. Not as a reference, but it's being passed as a copy. So, let me think. So, wall normal. This is a weird thing to explain. So, with F hit result, so hit result, or F hit result is a struct. And the struct is basically a thing that stores like different bits of data about a thing. In the case of F hit result, it stores different pieces of data of an object that is sort of hit by it. So, for example, we'd have the distance between, like, to the location. We'd have the normal. The normal is what we want, and that is basically like, just to put it simply, I really need to bust out like Clip Studio during these streams too, because I can actually explain how things work visually. You know what? Screw it. Hold on. I'm just going to move some bits just to quickly bust out Clip Studio. I should have had this prepared, but I didn't think I would be explaining, like, trying to explain, like, bits of vector math today. But you know what? You end up you end up doing things just for the sake of making sure things make sense. So you know what? I'm not too mad. I'm actually not frustrated about this. This is actually going to be an interesting little tidbit that I do. So I'm going to open up Clip Studio Paint, and wowee, I'm opening up Clip Studio on the stream that's not an art stream, but I'm just doing this for a very specific reason. So we're going to make a new... I mean, I don't really care about the illustration's name. I'm not saving this file, so I'm gonna quickly... I'm gonna quickly duplicate this window where I have my code. This is the window capture. Add a window capture. Call it art jet. Ooh, and that needs to be adjusted so that it fits. And anyway, this is good prep for Monday. So I'll remove the code capture window from this scene because I don't need it here. And I'll shrink that down to fit better. Right, so now we got Clip Studio open. Oh no, why is... Wowie, what the hell just happened with the bitrate? That is weird. Okay, right. So, I don't know why I busted out so much just for the sake of explaining this one little bit, but I hope people who are watching this at least get something out of me trying to explain, like, what a normal is for, like, an object. So, let me think. I'm gonna get this, like, a pretty sizable pencil size just to sort of sketch this. So, say, for example, you have, like, a right-angled triangle. And I'm just going to try and sketch this in the best way possible that doesn't look so cack-handed. Like, you can tell it's a right-angle triangle because it's got the little square thing here. So I'm just going to write square thing, which is the 90 degrees. Okay, so you with me so far? Um, so for example, we have a right angle triangle, and of course you've got like, say, like for example, a vector position being like, oh, it's like going in this direction, and okay, and then for this one you've got to go in this direction, and yada yada yada. You would basically have a vector that says, oh, this is going in this direction, and that's going in that direction. A normal at a sort of surface, like on a surface, basically, it's a vector that's sort of pointing up in a direction that's perpendicular to a surface. So, say, like, you have a thing that's hit here. So I'm going to visualize, say, like, an object collides with the surface of this triangle. The normal of where that thing collides is basically just pointing up from this thing right here. And what we're looking for is basically we're going to get the normal from the wall that we picked up. So for example, I'm just going to sketch like just a regular sort of rectangle, say that this is our wall. The most we're going to get as a normal, because it's just going to be, say, a regular sort of straight wall, like a flat wall. The most of the normal we're going to get is that we're just going to get like the normal pointing this way. And that's what we want, because what we want is the direction facing away from the wall, so we can launch the player away from the wall. Now, stuff like this doesn't exist in Unity, I don't think. Not as far as I can remember. But this stuff existing in Unreal is very cool. And, like, having an easy way to sort of calculate this is just... It's mind-blowing to me, honestly. Basically, yeah, in any point where there's, like, a straight line, it will be at a right angle from that point. So, you could get, say, like, a circle, and if I zoom in onto, say, a particular point, say, like, right here on the circle at the top, you'd have, like, a thing at a right angle here, you'd have a thing, like, at a right angle here, you'd have a thing at a right angle here. It can exist basically on a whole bunch of different surfaces, and it's a thing that is considered a lot in, like, not just games programming, but also, like, graphics programming as well, like the rendering pipeline and whatnot for 3D models. And to be fair, because I learned a bit about the rendering pipeline a little bit like a few months back, it drilled it a bit more into my head. You are so normal. To be fair, out of this, you could just find a new funny way of saying I'm so normal about this thing. You could say I am 90 degrees about this person or this thing. But I digress. Do with that as you will. I'm not going to say you should or shouldn't say it in that way. But use this knowledge. Yeah, no, that was my point. Use this knowledge as you see fit, because I think it will be funny for you to do. Yeah, only you and I will know what this means unless someone tries to coax it out of me. But I will try and keep my lips sealed about this, because it's funnier when it's an inside joke. You know? But yeah, for now, that's sketchy stuff done. That was me explaining what I was about to do here. And that's probably like, wowee, that's so much explanation, but it's very useful information to know. So we're getting the normal from this wall hit, and the wall hit, as I said, is just the wall that we're picking up, so we're getting the normal. We're getting the normal of the surface of that wall at that point, I think, as far as I'm aware. So normal says normal of the hit in world space for the object that was swept, equal to impact normal for line tests. Yep. So we're setting it to this, and UE underscore log temp warning text. So percentage F. Percent F. And Z equals percent F. And basically the stuff I'm doing right now, this is just formatting for text, so that in the parameter, like in the arguments section, which I put after here, I can say wall normal dot x, wall normal dot y, and wall normal dot z. And that will basically help me sort of individually print out each one, because I'm not going to directly try and implement the actual physics for the wall jumping yet. Cannot resolve sort. Oh no, I realized that I changed how that is. So that needs to be out wall here, and then this also needs to be out wall here, because I changed the name of these variables. So out wall here, out wall here. So that's making sure that that's there. I'm also going to close the editor, because I realized I left it open for so long. So, yikes. Gonna give that little bit to sort of cool down. But to explain what's going on so far, with this, so we have this f-hit result struct, which is wall hit. And as I said, it stores information about an object. We're checking to see if we're detecting a wall when we're checking for the wall jump with the sphere trace. So check for wall jump is down here, and we're starting it and basically ending it at the same point, which is at the base of the character. We don't really define this, and we don't define this just for the sake of making sure this passes properly. But so we cast at the base of the character with the radius, and we're passing in out wall hit. And the reason why we do that is so that what this method picks up is stored in this variable. So it's passed in as a reference, and it's stored in the variable, and it can still be used like here. You don't need to say this equals this or that equals this. This can just be used as is. So if we find a wall with this, which is indicated by B blocking here, then we return true. If not, then we return false. And that basically determines whether or not we actually do the wall jump. After that, we're getting basically the right angle from that surface, or the vector pointing at the right angle. And then for now, we're just going to check what the x, y, and z values are, just so I know that this is doing things properly. And so I know if it's like, oh, if the player is facing like a wall at this like direction, then it will push them in this x direction and so on. So we're going to try compiling, and hopefully, this doesn't throw a fit. But we never know. So, because it is exceedingly volatile. But honestly, like, I don't know. Even if it's like people who don't have too much experience with code and stuff, it's fun to explain stuff, because then if there's something that I don't really like I struggle trying to explain in a way, I can just visualize it. And using Clip Studio is a very good way of doing that, because I can just quickly sketch up a thing. And that was a very fun way of explaining things. I know that there are like game dev content creators who do that as well, where they have Paint open or something, and when they're trying to explain something, they just kind of just write it out on there as like, oh, we're making this point and that point. And it's such a good way to visualize what you're trying to explain, and it makes it easier to follow along. And I like doing it this way, because rather than just having things be such a barrier, I can try and make it understandable in a way that works for other people too. So yeah, I'm learning more about this whole process of streaming game dev, and I'm getting a bit more into the rhythm of things, and that feels great. So yeah, that's all cool. That's pretty chill. So, but now we're in the position where we're waiting for things to compile again. And this is just basically for the case of, oh, is this working? And if it's actually going to print things out into the log. Or hell, if this code is even valid in the first place. Because while it doesn't seem to return errors, it's whether or not this, like, the compiler actually says, yeah, this is perfectly fine. Because if it says it's not fine, then we've got to go through and fix something. And sometimes that either takes a little bit of time, or it takes a lot of time. And sometimes a lot of time is frustrating, but even then, it's the process you go through. Frontier Village at Nighttime. I love this song so much. I mean, I've already basically talked people's ears off about how much I love Xenoblade Chronicles and the series and so on. Like, 3 years ago, towards the tail end of my second year of university, I wanted to do, like, my yearly playthrough of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, but on stream. And I did it for a few parts. But of course, that didn't last long, and especially considering the fact I was balancing that, and I was balancing my, at the time, Kingdom Hearts 2 normal playthrough, and it's like, oh, I never got either of those finished. And maybe eventually, I don't know, like, maybe eventually, if I ever feel like it, I'd just go through the Xenoblade games and just play them, because I love those so dearly, and I'd love to just share more of them, but it's not necessarily the same, like, with a long-time fan of the series playing it compared to someone who's getting into the games playing it. And that's a shame, because I wish I could experience these games for the first time again, because I just love them that much. They're so good. Like the relaxing songs, the high-energy battle songs, the fucking things that happen during cutscenes and other things. It's just... it's just... Sorry about that. Like, I think from the laughter and stuff, it's just like, ugh, getting me all chesty and coughy. Not always the best. And at the moment, I haven't been keeping an eye on the compiler too much. Like, it's taking its time. I think at the very least, if this, like, compiles before stream ends, and I'm able to at least check, like, if it's detecting things properly, and then, like, getting, like, the normal data for the wall, and then just sort of saying, oh, this is pointing in this direction, and yada yada yada, then I think when, like, that's all done, I'll wrap stream up there, but that depends on how long this takes to compile, because it could take forever, or it would just take not much time at all, but I can never tell. But all in all, even though it's like a little bit, I had good fun with this, just talking about things, like, and going on about so much. Like, this has just been a nice space for it, and I want to be able to share that space with more people as well. Like, not like, so many people, yada yada yada, but people who are interested and feel like this is a nice little space to be in, either just to chill or to talk or to sort of learn about this. Because in a way, while I'm sort of going through this and showing off this is what I'm working on, I'm also going through some stuff as well. I'm actually explaining some bits too. And I like explaining, like, the game dev stuff. Like, even if it's, like, a small little bit, I'd like to explain so much more. I think I'm going to skip some of the music. There we go. So I'll skip towards, like, some of the ending, like, some of the last songs of this video, because there's, like, 2 from Xenoblade Chronicles 1. Like this one, for example. Which is, like, a nice little peaceful song, too. Oh, wait, no, I'm noticing the compiler. It's... Yeah, let's go! Right, we're winning here. I can't wait to just... I'm thinking back on what I said about, like, surface normals and how using this knowledge that I have just passed on to you, you could just say... Oh, wait, no, trace implement is not defined as a preprocessor macro, replacing with... Oh, yep, that's an error. Pragma warning, pop, no, pragma warning, push. Standalone epilogue. What does that mean? Trace implement is not defined as a preprocessor macro. Okay, trace... Is it something I accidentally wrote, whereas... Oh, that's the thing, right. I accidentally included that. So, that was a complete accident when I was writing things out earlier. That's... Oh, cat on desk again. What do you mean? Uninitialized local variable used... How do I initialize a trace channel type? Where is... No, not here. I need to look in here. God damn it. So... Oh wait, no, it's an enum. I'll just say trace type query 1. Right, so we're going through slowly and fixing this. There we go. That took a little bit of time, but we got the compile sorted. We're fixing it. So I think, like, it should work. But if it doesn't work, then that's perfectly fine too. Because that just means there's more little bits that need sorting out. Like, maybe instead of like a sphere trace, I just use a line trace. And that is, like, less convoluted to set up. So, project is open. Swap back here. There we go. Right. Now... And again, it's taking its time. Okay, I think... That's weird. Right, it's detecting... I think it's detecting the ground. It's not detecting the wall, it's detecting the ground. So that's odd. think there's something I need to sort. Like, it's detecting it, but at the same time, it's... This is basically what in programming we would just call a logic error, where it's doing something, but it's not doing it in the way that you intended it to do. So I'm gonna check and see... Right, so I'm checking at root, unless I'm not actually saying where it's being defined. Where's wall jump? Ah, yeah, that's right. Root. I was about to say, maybe it would help if I actually... There we go. So air dashing is running again. But also, it's checking for things... So it's checking for things even when the player is jumping from the ground, which is not what I want. So did I might have written something incorrectly in the code. Let's see. Player jump. So if get character begins found wall. And I think also it's like it is doing it at the base of the feet, but at the same time it's doing it directly at the base. So I think like it is detecting it. It is doing things, but it's one, it's not doing it like as intended, and two, it's not reaching far enough to properly detect a wall. So I'm going to make that the quick fix that we're going to do just before stream ends, just so we can see what we can sort out here. So, no, not there, that's the... Right, and I need to switch to code, because I keep forgetting to do that sometimes. Check for wall jump. Yep, trace start, get bone location, plus F vector. I'm going to say we're not adding to the X or the Y, but we are adding to the Z. So I'm going to shift it up by, say, maybe 80, just to be safe. And then we'll say vector trace end. So we basically say trace start plus, and then here we'll say get actor get active forward vector times, and then I'll make a variable for this as well, just so I can configure how far this checks. So float, we'll check radius, and then we'll... I think that's the last song of the video. It might be. Damn, it is. Float. I think I'm gonna quickly put on another, or restart the video. Either one, I'm gonna quickly put on another one, just so there's music to kind of close out stream with. Ads! I hate ads so much. That was the one I already... Right. Relaxing and Calm Xenoblade Chronicles 3. We'll go for this one. We'll end out stream with this set of music, because, you know, it's nice and chill. So we'll check distance. We're going to control this with this. Wall check distance. And then I think for wall check distance is default. I'm gonna say 200.0f. So we're shifting its position up, and then we're making an actual trace end, whereas I've lost it. Yeah, trace end. We're making an actual trace end now, and then instead of having it start and end in the same position, we're going to use trace end. So it will end a little bit in front. And now we're just going to compile those bits again. So this may take a little bit of time. But it does seem to be getting used to me trying to compile so many times, so who knows? Who knows? Also, I need to remember, how do I raid a stream? Hold on, while this compiles, I've got to look up a thing, so... Do I have to do a link? How do I, so... Ah, right. That's how you do it. Ah! Okay, so some notes have been, There's gonna be a nice little surprise, but... But we will get through this last little bit. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. It shouldn't take too long. Honestly, I can't wait for the next time the opportunity to stream this rolls around. Because oh, there it goes. Right. Hopefully it works, because if this does work, then we'll have the foundation for properly building the wall jump. And I may or may not probably do that in my spare time again, but if I do manage to get this to work properly, then you can see the results of that the next time I stream game dev, which now I'm feeling like more in the spirit of this, and I've found a good rhythm with it during the stream. I definitely want to make it more of a sort of regular rotation on the break streams, because it's fun to do, and it's fun to talk about, and it's fun to just show off, like, this is how this works, and this is what this means, you know? So... I have done something unintentionally funny! I'm sorry, I am definitely mature. But it's still doing it when I'm pressing the jump button. Which is not what I want. So maybe I need another variable to control this. But let's check the output log to see what we're getting for a normal. Full stack Unreal Editor, that doesn't seem right. Oh wait, no, that is working. It is doing the thing It is! Yeah! Right, so that's properly getting the normal for that wall. So if I go up to this wall and say, yeah, that's pointing it, like, in positive X, positive Y, this is Y, that's doing it. That's doing this properly. That's actually great. So we have basically the foundation for wall jumping. Of course, I'll want to, like, reduce the distance of this because, like, look at this. It's still picking it up when, like, the player is this far away. So obviously we'll want to sort of rein this in a little bit. But this is... Oh, wait, you're not seeing this. I just realized... Hold on. Right. Now we'll go through this. So, look. So it's calling the sphere trace, like, on the ground when initially jumping. But in terms of, like, when it actually returns the normal, it will actually do it when the player is pressing jump while they're already jumping. And they're not doing the wall jump, because that's what I've programmed it to do. If they're next to a wall and they get to wall jump, then they don't do the air dash. So, on that wall it was positive, on this wall it will be... Oh, on that wall it was negative, on this wall it will be positive X, and then on this wall it's positive Y. And then on this wall it's negative Y. So we're getting the vector pointing at, like, the 90 degrees from the surface, and that's what we want it to do. And it's working as we want it to, so that's very good. So, with that being said, I think this is where we'll call stream for today. And I'm very happy with how this went. I'm just so very happy with how this went this time around. It's so much better. I have a question, because there's something I've been wanting to try out as well. And I know that you will probably know about this. So, but yeah, but until that is answered, thank you to everyone for showing up to stream. Thank you to everyone who's watching things back on the VOD, or, like, on Twitch or on YouTube. This was a way better game dev stream than the last time I attempted this, and I feel so much more assured in trying this. It was just a matter of being patient and trying to get along with things at my own pace. In terms of my next stream, it will be another break stream. It will be on Monday, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to make it an art stream. I'm going to be trying to draw the characters I made for Daggerheart, and maybe I might be doing something else, like just general sort of anatomy practice, or trying to draw, like, my actual OC, or trying to do emote stuff, because there's things I've been wanting to do for emotes for a while now, but I haven't been able to find the time, and I want to be able to do it. So I feel like this will be a good time for me to do it as well. Oh yeah, so what I'm asking here, to raid someone else's stream, all I have to do is type /raid and their channel name, right? I'm asking this as a genuine question because I want to do a funny. /raid channel, yes, right. Hopefully this works. This may not work. I'm raiding Dragon Stream, by the way. Right. So thank you ever so much. We're raiding Dragon Stream, and I hope to see you all again in the very next stream. Bye bye!